When was the last time you and your spouse argued? When was the last time you argued in front of your kids? Believe it or not, it's actually kind of a good thing to have your kids see how you handle a disagreement. Here to talk about the healthy way to argue is Amy Chow, a psychologist and mom herself. Good morning.
Good morning.
Every time I say the word argue, you're like, no, it's called a, what do you call it?
Conflict.
A conflict. Sure, it's an argument, though.
Yeah.
But, so what is that, because it is such an everyday, normal thing.
Right.
Parents are going to argue, spouses are going to argue. It's not like you can not do it in front of the kids.
Yeah.
It's just going to happen.
You can't run in the closet every time, right?
I know.
Well, I think the goal, like, if you can work towards peaceful resolution and manage your conflict in a way that's, like, respectful and kind, then that's a great thing for kiddos to see. But if you can't, if it starts getting heated or bubbles up to a point that there's real frustration and real anger getting expressed, research shows that anger is never a good thing for kids to see. Yelling is never productive for children. So even if it's not about them, they internalize things, it becomes a very scary experience.
Well, and even I have little ones that I don't think they totally necessarily get it all. I know they don't, but you can tell when me and my husband have kind of things, if it kind of gets elevated, they are absolutely absorbing it.
Oh,
the energy is like almost tangible.
Right, and so we don't want to do that to our kiddos. We don't pour so much energy and love and care and support into them to then derail them because we're in a weird place as a couple. So it's just talking about really ways to manage conflict that are healthy for kids and for adults, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's get to these. I know there's a lot of points we want to get to this morning. Number one, you say, breathe first.
Yeah, so if one of the partners is beginning to feel irritated or there's something that's starting to simmer a bit, we can tell, you feel it kind of rising. First, take a moment and just breathe. And, it's kind of like your little metaphorical pause button. It's okay to pause things and go, all right, is this an emergency? Do we need to conquer this now? Do we think we have the emotional resources to dive in right now? If you have a baby crying in the car seat, two fighting in the back, and then you're in the middle of on the threshold of some kind of a conflict, timing might not be right. But if you have to deal with it right then, you have to deal with it. So it's your time to make that judgment. Do we move forward with this right now, or do we just wait? Yep.
Acknowledge the issue.
If you decide that things are calm enough and that you're, okay to kind of move forward at this moment, then acknowledge that there's something going on. Say like, look, I realize that we are leaving late, and it bothers me that we walk out the door late too. I'm starting to feel my blood boiling, start to get stressed because I'm looking at the clock knowing we're not going to make it there on time. That's just acknowledgement. That's not anything other than stating the obvious.
Listen to your partner's, what's upset, what's making them upset.
Yeah. Bite your tongue, listen. So if they're like, yeah, we're always late when whatever's going on for your partner, this would never be my partner, of course, but if your partner has some frustrations, let them air them out. It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
All right.
After that, you really want to make sure that you're empathizing with their frustration. Like, I hear that that's frustrating for you. And then really...
Maybe even if you don't necessarily agree with it, just say, hey, this is what I'm understanding, what you're
like, I
upset
hear that
about
you're
right
upset.
now.
Even if you don't get it or you have your own perspective, obviously, you understand that they're frustrated. I hear that when we leave late, it feels frustrating to you. You had the car packed and loaded and you were ready to go. But then also, go ahead and express what's going on for you. So I get frustrated too. And I feel like, I had to take care of getting 4 kids ready, getting myself ready, and covering the pies and getting them to the car. So even though you had done all of your part, I feel like I had done all my part too, and we still didn't get out on time. I'm frustrated equally. And then just really acknowledge your contribution to the problem at that point. Like, I realize I didn't get up early enough to get all this done, or I didn't ask for help soon enough. I know you would have helped me, but I didn't ask. And so I acknowledge that I brought something to this struggle.
I know you're speaking to a lot of families this morning. You say resist piling on other things, which I know we all have a tendency to do.
This is so hard. Okay, so going with that pie in the car example, you're getting to some event, right, and you have the kids in and the pies in, and you're leaving and you're late. It can be very, very easy at that point to go, and by the way, I threw in 3 loads of laundry this morning, and I was the one that got up with the baby all night, and and starting to like really pile on. I wish you'd do more around here. It's so easy to let that snowball just roll and accumulate.
Because a lot of times we don't. Maybe we're always constantly not, telling our partner how we feel, so it just builds and builds and builds.
Oh yeah, this is not the time to do that. If you have a real issue to deal with as far as like other household obligations or issues or responsibilities to divvy up, this isn't the time to do it. That's for a different conversation when you're calm.
We only have about a minute left. Okay. Let's say the conversation does get heated and you need to stop it.
Yeah, agree on stopping. Usually the partner that's less annoyed can kind of suggest it, but going in, like kind of developing this game plan when you're both calm, saying, okay, look, if I'm starting to really get up here and you sense it, why don't you step in and say, okay, look, this isn't an emergency. We don't need to solve this now. Let's shelve this and we'll deal with this later. Even if you need to write it down and like stick it on a Post-it and go, okay, we promise we're going to get to this when we're both calm, like tonight or something.
What I love, as we close here, you can agree to disagree, and then I love what you say is share the resolution with your kids. If your kids are seeing you argue, don't let them think that the argument is never ending. Right. If you and your spouse did have a resolution, share it with them.
Yeah, I mean, if it's appropriate, come back the next day and go, hey guys, we figured out, you know, remember yesterday we were a little bit tense leaving the house. We figured out a way to kind of make this work. What we're going to do is set a timer 15 minutes before we leave. And everyone gets to then scramble around and get your shoes and pack up and get out to the car. If we end up out early, we can play a game of tag in the front yard for a few minutes. But this is what Mommy's going to do to help me get out on time. Daddy's going to do to help him get out on time. And even just self-calming yourself in those moments, looking around the car and going, wow, you guys got ready. You did it. You got ready and you're out here on time. Like, I'm proud of you. It can help you recenter. If you're frustrated here, you kind of get the bigger picture. You take a step back and you bring yourself down. Usually under the anger is always going to be some kind of a hurt, and usually it's from childhood. So identifying those things that are going on that are fueling what really isn't the struggle is useful too.
Well, Amy, I always learn so much from you. Thank you so much. We love having you here, and of course you're going to be back soon. So thank you so much, Amy.
Good to be here.
All right, the Maid with a Plan. Up next, why Maid Pro of Southwest Florida says there is a certain order you should clean your home. But first, your Fox forecast and news headlines.